The 70s, when design appears to be high on the smoke of the 60s. It was the decade that taste just seemed to forget. Too much shag pile carpet, too much colour, too many reflective surfaces. Long derided as tacky and vulgar, the design of the 70s is now a source of great inspiration. Space Invaders, the game of the 70s. The game that started digital gaming. A design that evolved from the great story of the War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells 40 years earlier. The designer, Nishikado, captivated the 70s with his simple design based on this Martian attack. The 70s E-Type Jaguar in Dad's garage had gorgeous lines and a design that was admired by all. The iconic aerodynamic design appeared to raise people's social standing, and even today is one of only a few cars held as a design masterpiece in a museum. The 30s teardrop car, with its sleek design, was revolutionary and went on to be the inspiration for many great designers, including Alec Etigonis, the designer of the Mini, and Colin Chapman, designer and owner of Lotus. Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, designed for the Kaufman family in 1935 and completed in 1937. This house had daring construction over a waterfall and became one of the most famous 20th century buildings, held up in the 70s as an iconic museum for design inspired by Backhouse. Frank Whittle inspirationally designed the jet engine in the 1930s and went on to open up the whole new field of aeronautical design that culminated in everything from passenger aircraft, the space shuttle, and to military aircraft. The Harrier, designed in the 1970s, was the first mass-produced aircraft that was able to hover. Frank's engine in the Harrier jump jet played a major part in where I am today. This groundbreaking design I was able to appreciate when I started my engineering career started me on a path of where I am today. Here we have a cross-section of an aircraft wing. The graceful design of the wing and the E-Type Jaguar all come about by the designers using a mathematical formula and Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence is a method of bringing a sizing and spacing system into a design based on a proven aesthetic appeal in design. To prove the power of graphic design, this picture from the 70s sold a young boy a dream. To me, the MGB was life in the fast lane with the curves of the 70s and the dream it promised. The ad partially worked, as I've still got an MGB. My wife is blonde, but she refuses the pose. Designs from the 70s sometimes produce great failures, but also produce great hits. Even today, some 40 years later, classic 70 design pendant lights are being reproduced with up-to-date materials, with the classic design shapes remaining just the same. The 70s band Pink Floyd, famous for the use of light at their outdoor shows, had this designed for their classic album cover Dark Side of the Moon. The album graphics, designed by Hypnosis Studios, was inspired by illustrations in the book showing the process of light refracting through glass prisms. In his 1973 thesis, Commander Taylor of the British Royal Navy proposed that using a ski jump to help the Harrier jump jet take off on an aircraft carrier was easy. This extremely simple curved design goes to prove that design does not have to be complicated to be effective. In 1972, Emerson Fittipaldi became the Formula One world champion for the first time. When interviewed, Fittipaldi was quoted as saying that aerodynamics made his car fly. The design of aerodynamics have gone on to prove the exact opposite. Formula One cars now stick to the ground and can drive upside down. 1970s. Interior design took cues from major works in history, combining them with soft curves and irregular designs, has gone on to produce classic furniture that is copied and reproduced today. As everything needs to be designed, so our fears can be designed as well. Geiger's 1979 classic film, Aliens, started off a sequence of films that 40 years later still brings in millions. A constant evolution of the design of the alien kept up with digital technology. The toothbrush, arguably the most over-designed and reimagined product on the market. In the 70s, the advertisement appeared that showed that only the socially acceptable with the whitest of smiles were what the Western culture would accept, and this would only be achieved by this week's latest redesigned toothbrush. Here at the COP, designed to bring together all classes for the social event. The COP, in the grounds of Liverpool Football Club, has an almost religious and social meaning, a place of worship, fear and cultural joy for all. With the start of the 70s, design advertising of our ideal lives was truly captured by the decade. Just think, people looked at this picture and agreed, this is where we need to be. By the end of the 70s, we saw that design had no limits. We had risen so high to say that a mere $6 million could rebuild our new, redesigned, better selves. Even humans were designed to be better, stronger, faster, in films anyway. The end of the 70s era formed the sad basis for the beginning of the 80s. It's all downhill from here, with embarrassing hammer pants, mullet haircuts and wham t-shirts. Thanks for designing me, 70s.